How an 88-year-old outsmarted a thief, clever and calm. Have you ever wondered what you would do if someone tried to break into your home? Would you freeze? Panic? Hide? Town ever 88 years old? Alone in a quiet neighborhood, and it's nearly dark. There's no alarm system, no heavy locks, and your phone is across the room. And then you hear it, footsteps on the porch, a hand on the doorknob, and the unmistakable sound of someone trying to get inside. This actually happened to Mrs. June, a soft-spoken widow with silver hair and a love for knitting by the window. She lives alone in the same little home where she raised her children, tended her roses, and buried her husband 5 years ago. Her hands are delicate now, her back a little curved. But what she did next, that showed strength no thief could ever prepare for. Instead of panic, Mrs. June leaned into something far more powerful than force: clarity. She kept her voice steady, her steps deliberate, and within minutes, the man outside ran off, defeated not by security cameras or police sirens, but by a presence so calm it disarmed him completely. In today's video, we'll share the full story of how an 88-year-old woman turned a moment of fear into a quiet act of courage. You'll also learn 3 simple principles that can help any senior feel safer, stronger, and more prepared without needing to fight, shout, or run. Welcome to Elderly Wisdom Secrets, where we don't just tell stories, we honor the quiet strength behind them. There's a reason why people often confuse age with weakness. Society teaches us that once your hair turns gray and your steps get slower, you become less capable, less alert, less brave, less prepared. But what they forget is that strength isn't always loud, and courage doesn't always come with muscle. Real strength, especially in seniors, often looks like stillness in the face of chaos. It's the voice that doesn't shake when things go wrong. It's the instinct that whispers, "Wait," when others rush to react. It's the result of decades spent solving problems, surviving storms, and learning how to stand firm when others would fold. What Mrs. June showed us that day wasn't just cleverness. It was the kind of wisdom that comes from living long enough to trust yourself, even when everything around you says, panic. Studies show that seniors who regularly engage in mental reflection, like journaling, storytelling, or even meditative prayer, develop higher levels of emotional regulation and situational awareness. In other words, they don't just react to threats, they respond. And often, that response is enough to change the outcome entirely. That's exactly what happened on that quiet evening in Mrs. June's home. No. She didn't yell. She didn't run. She simply used her voice, her posture, and her intuition to shift the energy in the room. From fear to control. And maybe you're wondering, could I do that too? The answer is yes. Because what protected Mrs. June wasn't just what she knew. It was how she carried herself in the moment. And in just a few minutes, you'll learn the same 3 core ideas she relied on. Ideas that might one day help you or someone you love stay safe, stay calm, and stay in control, even when things feel uncertain. But first, have you ever been in a moment where you had to stay calm under pressure? Maybe not with a thief, but in a medical emergency, or when your spouse fell, or when you received bad news. How did you handle it? What surprised you about your own reaction? If you feel comfortable, share your experience in the comments, because every story of calm and clarity helps remind others that being older doesn't mean being fragile. It means you've already walked through fire and learned how to keep your balance. It was a quiet Thursday evening. Mrs. June had just turned off the television and was folding her knitting blanket when she heard it, an unfamiliar sound coming from the front porch. At first, she thought it might be a stray cat or a neighbor's visitor. But when the door handle jiggled, slowly at first and then more forcefully, she knew someone was trying to get in. Most people at any age would panic. But Mrs. June didn't move. She didn't grab the phone or run to the kitchen for a weapon. She simply took a slow, deep breath and listened. This is where her wisdom took over, and where we uncover the first principle she used that night. Principle 1: stay still to stay sharp. When adrenaline kicks in, our instinct is to move fast. But for seniors, moving suddenly or acting without direction can lead to falls, confusion, or even escalating a situation. Mrs. June chose stillness. She stayed out of sight, took a deep breath, and quietly assessed the situation. Gather. Was the door locked? Yes. Gabble. Were the lights on? No. Was there time to think? Just enough. She didn't let fear hijack her decision-making. She simply bought herself a moment of calm, and that moment changed everything. Now imagine if she had panicked, shouted, moved loudly. The intruder might have broken in faster, felt more aggressive, or realized she was alone. But her silence gave her control, and that control gave her clarity. After staying quiet for about 30 seconds, she made a decision. She would speak, but not from the door, not from a place of fear. She walked to the back of the house, picked up her old cordless phone, and then stood near the hallway where her voice would echo best. And here's where Principle 2 comes in. Principle 2, speak calm, speak smart. With the steadiest voice she could manage, she said loudly and clearly, "Frank, are you back from the garage? Someone's at the door. Call the sheriff, please." The effect was immediate. The jiggling stopped, footsteps shuffled backward, and within seconds, the front gate creaked open as the intruder left in a hurry. You see, Mrs. June didn't say she was alone. She didn't confront the stranger or try to threaten him. She created the illusion of support. She used her voice, not to intimidate, but to inform. This is a technique used even in self-defense training. Speak clearly, speak with direction, and never let the other person feel in control of the moment. And what's powerful is that this wasn't something she rehearsed. It was instinct, built on decades of being calm in storms, clear in chaos. The next day, when her neighbor checked the security footage from across the street, they caught the man walking in and leaving just seconds after her voice echoed through the house. She later admitted to her daughter, "I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew panic wouldn't help. And I remembered something my husband always told me, think before you act, and when you do act, sound like you mean it." That brings us to the third and final principle, one that every senior should carry with them like a quiet shield. Principle 3. Prepare now so you don't panic later. After the incident, Mrs. June made some simple adjustments. She placed a flashlight and phone together in one easy-to-reach spot. She wrote down emergency contacts in large print by the front door, and she practiced what she might say again, just once, so she'd feel ready if it ever happened again. That's the key. You don't need to live in fear. You just need to live with intention. Small habits, quiet rehearsals, and steady thinking can be more powerful than any alarm system. Because in the moment, it's not the tools that matter most. It's the mindset. So what can we learn from Mrs. June? That bravery doesn't always look like confrontation. Well, no. Sometimes, it looks like stillness, a steady voice, and a decision made in the middle of fear, without letting fear win. Mrs. June's story isn't just remarkable because of what she did. It's powerful because of how simple her actions were. She didn't have martial arts training. She didn't call 911 in a flash of panic. She relied on 3 things available to every senior: her mind, her voice, and her memory of what truly works when life gets real. And that's what we want to take with us today. Not just the story, but the strategy. Because staying safe doesn't always require strength. It requires clarity, and clarity comes from preparation. So here's a bonus idea you can try this week. Create a quiet safety plan. Just 3 steps. 1. Identify your safety spots. Where's your phone? A flashlight? Can you reach them without rushing? 2. Practice your calm voice. Say out loud 1 or 2 confident sentences you could use in any situation, like, "Someone's coming to the door now," or "My neighbor's already calling the police." 3. Tell someone your plan, a daughter, a friend, a neighbor, not to scare them, but to remind them that you're still sharp, still ready, and still leading with wisdom. These small habits don't just protect you. they give you back something even more important: peace of mind. And according to the National Council on Aging, seniors who feel prepared, even just mentally, are 40% more likely to report higher levels of confidence and lower levels of daily anxiety. You don't have to wait for something bad to happen. You can practice peace now, just like Mrs. June did. And who knows? Your story might one day become someone else's survival guide. Mrs. June didn't stop a thief with force. She stopped him with clarity, with presence, with the quiet power that only comes from living long enough to know. Fear can visit, but it doesn't have to stay. Her story isn't just one of survival. It's a story of wisdom in action. And it reminds us that even in the most vulnerable moments, we are never powerless. Not when we've lived through loss and still found strength. Not when we've seen the worst and still chosen peace. Not when we've grown older, but not smaller. So today, let's take that lesson forward. First, share your story. Have you ever stayed calm in a moment of fear? Or do you know someone who has hatched peace? Tell us in the comments, because your words might help another senior feel ready, strong, and seen. Second, if this video gave you insight, encouragement, or even just a quiet, "Yes, I needed this," click the like button and share it with someone who values wisdom over noise. And finally, subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Secrets. Every week, we share stories like this about strength, insight, and the quiet brilliance that grows with time. Because your age isn't a limitation, it's your legacy. In the next video, we'll explore how seniors are finding deep, restful sleep without pills, noise machines, or costly therapies. You'll discover 3 calming techniques that actually work, and hear how one 80-year-old woman turns sleepless nights into peaceful rest. Sleep better at 80 to 3 calm tips that truly work. Until then, stay calm, stay wise, and never forget, you've already walked through storms. Now, you teach the rest of us how to walk through light.